Na sziasztok! Ismét egy kis NBA 2K-re, most kipróbálom azt a módot, mikor konkrétan csak egy játékos kell irányítani. Na, egyelőre nem valami fényesen muzsikálom, de... Azt mondja, hogy egyes feladat, de járjuk oral drunk. Nem tudom mennyi mit csinál, valami kit. Force and information component, turnover. Labdalopást. Fejezd be a játékot, hogy csapattal legalább plusz C pluszos minősítésbe. Hát kész. Hagyd ne. Félek a lemsőt.
What better way to end the week? Welcome to the NBA here on 2K Sports. This is Kevin Harlan along with Steve Kirk, Clark Kellogg, and Doris Burke. Glad you could join us for our Friday night edition of the NBA. Last game for the Pacers, a loss to the Pistons at the Palace of Auburn Hills. And that does your confidence guys no favor. They got manhandled in that one. It wasn't pretty.
And what really hurt them in that game was their defense. They were very, very lackadaisical at that end of the court.
Well, I would agree with that. I'd give you that. I mean, they didn't play with the kind of energy and emotion they needed, but I wonder about the defensive scheme. I mean, in general, the coaching staff did very little to adjust to what the other team was doing.
Here's the starting group for the Indiana Pacers. Granger, Hansbrough, and Hibbert are the front court. Jones is out there with Collison. And for the Thunder, Durant, Ibaka, and Perkins compose the front court. Westbrook and Cephalosha in the backcourt.
You know, for the Pacers last season, they really had a difficult time against Western Conference teams. I mean, only going 9-21 in those matchups.
Hát, akkor áll a bennük a 11 pontra az ellenfél.
Let's go quickly over to Doris Burke for an update.
Hey, Kevin, Scott Brooks gave me a few minutes to share with them. They'll have to deal with the size and shooting combination that Danny Granger presents, and he knows that is going to be a tough problem. He said that even though Granger might not be one of the headliner names in the NBA, he can eat defenses alive with the mismatches he creates. He's hoping they can avoid that in this one, guys.
All right, Doris, thank you very much.
And look at how quickly he got his hands in the way of that pass.
Outside Westbrook. He cans that one. Westbrook's got 6 points. We talked about the troubles, Clark, against the Western Conference. For whatever reason, Steve, they struggled to defend Western Conference opponents.
Well, I thought the biggest thing was the West was so much deeper than the East last year, Kevin. The East had some strong teams at the top, but overall, a weaker field of teams. When you go out West, and on a nightly basis, you're going against a really tough team. I think that's the disparity in the numbers for Indiana.
Now, here is Harden. Shot clock at 6. Maynard, back to Harden. The second chance effort, and the basket by Collison.
Right from the get-go, they've been shooting the ball extremely well.
Well, I think it's a matter of just continuing to knock down shots like that. They'll get the W here, no question about it.
Granger against Collison. Collison against Granger. He kicks it to George. Ford kicks to George.
Slamming it home off the alley-oop. Remarkable.
Well, his eyes got wide as he went up for that one.
And he timed his leap perfectly to meet the pass at the top of its arc.
1:30 left to play here in the first. Westbrook gets to Durant. George gets the whistle for blocking. That is his first foul of the game.
I think he made the right call there. It's always a bang-bang play, but I don't think the defense had position.
You know, blocking fouls are never easy to whistle, but that one definitely looked like a block to me.
Looking at who's out there now for the Thunder. Perkins comes in for Nick Collison. And it's Ibaka in for Eric Ming. Now here's Westbrook. He had a 30-point outing their last game against Phoenix. Harden dishes to Durant. Over George. And it's Durant. That time on the assist by Harden. 9 points for Kevin Durant.
Well, Kevin Durant creates so much space for his shot. I thought at times he settled a little bit too much for long-range shots, and where he can make the most improvement is down on the block with a post game.
Speaking of Durant, Clark, and working in the post, do you think he's strong enough physically to be effective down there?
At this point in time, that's one area he needs to get better at. He needs to add more strength in terms of being a post player. If he's taller than the guy defending him, then I think he can be somewhat effective. But that's an area of growth for him. As he gets more aggressive and adds to that frame of his, and I think he can really be a difficult guy to defend in the low post. But he's not there yet.
Because, you know, the initial defense is going to be strong. And a lot of times you go over and you have somebody double. Now you got two guys on you, and that's tough.
That's exactly right.
The Thunder making a switch here. Muhammad's checked in. And no good on the second free throw, so he goes 0 for 2 there.
Look at Oklahoma City, and the Thunder were especially tough against the Eastern Conference last season. I mean, 22-8 against the East. In fact, only the Spurs and the Bulls had a better record when playing the opposite conference.
Inside to Hibbert.
Hello,
by Durant. The Thunder leading by 6.
I'm okay for him there.
Takes it right up. And Westbrook gets it to go on the assist by Harden. 8 points for Russell Westbrook. You know, I didn't know that about the Thunder. They've gone, 22-8 against the East now, 2 consecutive seasons. Steve, pretty impressive.
Yeah, complete turnaround, too, from a few years ago when they were really struggling against everybody. But this young talent, gelling, moving forward, getting better and better each season. And last year, you're right, Kevin, they dominated the East.
And that one's good. Durant.
I love how relentless he is. I mean, he just continues to come at you all night.
And he feeds it to Granger. And stolen by Brogan.
A lot of hands down there on the block. That's a tough position to be in offensively.
Offense, the order of the day as the first quarter comes to a close. It's the Thunder. And the first quarter is in the books. Second about ready to get underway. Thunder lead by 4.
And welcome everyone to this early season. At Time Warner Cable Arena, the Bobcats with the
We have a close ball game on our hands as we get set for the second half of basketball. The Thunder leading by 6. On the court for Indiana. Claxton in a 2-guard. Jones is out there with Paul George. Then there's Danny Granger. And it's Collison in at the point guard position. So it's Indiana now. 6-point game. And going against Oklahoma City, their first meeting of the year.
Well, it's the East versus the West tonight. The first of just 2 contests that they'll have against each other all year.
There's a pretty play. The feathery lob pass in there, nicely done.
That's exactly what it is. Laid it up there beautifully.
Yeah, no mistakes on either end, and a great touch on that layup.
Here is Durant. After Danny Granger's bucket. 5 to shoot. Durant. Count it. Durant's got 20. Steve mentioned that they'll only face each other twice, Clark. What impact does that have on this game?
Well, first, Kevin, I think it means that we'll probably see our share of in-game adjustments. I mean, since they won't have a very good feel for each other coming into the game, they'll have to be flexible on the fly.
On the basket by Jones. Jones has got his second basket of the night. The Thunder with the lead. Last game matchup with the Suns, a tough loss there.
And a big key to the loss to me was how poorly they shot their free throws. They just didn't make the most of their opportunities at the line.
They sure didn't. I'm not sure if it was a lack of concentration or confidence or a combination of the two, but they never looked settled at the strike.
And here's Jones, following the three from Nate Robinson. They're working it around. Here's Granger. Foul call that time on the way up. That'll give him 2 chances at the free throw line here.
Danny Granger, Kevin, grew up in New Orleans, Louisiana, and after Hurricane Katrina, as you might imagine, he did a lot to help that town and also help a lot of his family members, too.
Going back to Danny Granger, Steve, he moved about 17 of his family members up to Indiana. Got a big house, moved in with him.
Wow. And what I love about Danny Granger is he's really good at both ends of the floor. A versatile defender. He can rebound. And, of course, offensively, he's dynamic.
Looking at who's out there now for the Thunder. Kendrick Perkins. He's checked in for Muhammad. Waka comes in for Kevin Durant. And Tabo Cephalosha subbed in for Nate Robinson. You know, the one thing that's helped Danny Granger back early in his career, he's had some injury issues to deal with.
Yeah, he has, but last season I thought he was pretty healthy, and he carried the burden for the Pacers offensively. If he can get a little help in that area, though, I think it would serve him very well.
It's Ibaka picking him up. And Granger with the basket on the assist from Hansbrough. Granger's got 7 points for the quarter.
That's now 6 straight points off open threes. Get a hand up, fellas. Pay attention to the scouting report.
You know how quickly things can go south when you start giving up wide open looks to this team.
You know, for the Pacers last season, it was encouraging for them to make the playoffs, but it can't obscure the hard work that's still left ahead. I mean, they only won 37 games in the regular season. They would have needed 9 or 10 more wins to make the playoffs in the West, so they've still got a ways to go.
Now here's Westbrook. He's got 14. Back to Harden. Shoots the 3. Here's Ibaka. Indiana trailing here. Granger outside. And it's Harden picking him up for the lead. Shot is blocked. And a chance now to check out the schedule for Indiana. Celtics will be coming into town for the next game. That'll be the first of 2 straight at home. And the Thunder with some changes. So a close game sees Oklahoma City taking this one. And Clark, you know, it was quite a game.
Yeah, it was tight. Their guys were able to come up with big plays down the stretch, and that's the difference.
And that'll wrap it up for Clark Kellogg, Steve Kerr, and Doris Burke. This is Kevin Harlan, and thanks for tuning in.
Mindig sajtó.
Your coach was quoted as saying after the game that the team was really broken up about tonight's loss. In fact, he said a couple of the guys were even crying about it in the locker room afterwards. What do you have to say about that?
Az edző, bla bla bla. Ez a csapat teljes színplan, de most mit választok a 4 közül? So much this.
I don't really know what to tell you. Every single player on this team puts it all out there every time they step on the court. And a couple of them wear their hearts on their sleeves. Combine all that with a tough loss like tonight, and sure, some guys are going to get a little emotional. Nothing wrong with that, man. If anything, it's just a reminder of how much those guys care and how much harder we have to work again the next time to make sure we don't lose a game like this again. Real talk.
A fanoknak nem tetszett, hát most több mint csapat összhangban jó. A liga mit tudom, csinálni, csak a szurkolóknak lennék be a válasz opció. Játszottunk 7 percet, egy asszisztommal. Nagyon jó. Két asszisztot kéne elérni a meccsen, 3 pontos, egy kösz, nagyon jó. Azt mondja, fejezd be a meccset, úgy egy csapat. Szép pluszos minősítés.
It's the Pacers in Indianapolis as we bring you an Eastern Conference contest. So glad you can join us for this presentation of 2K Sports in the NBA. This is Kevin Harlan. Joining me, Steve Kerr and Clark Kellogg. And now the opening lineup for Boston, courtesy of State Farm. Rondo and Allen make up the backcourt. Green and KG down low. And it's Pierce in at the 3, the small forward. And for Indiana, Granger, Hansbrough, and Hibbert are on the front court. Jones is out there with Collison.
Well, we all know Rajon Rondo is among the fastest players in the NBA, but he's really the only Celtic who wants to get out and run. This is more of a half-court team. In fact, Boston finished in the bottom 10 in the league in fast break points.
And it's going to be the Pacers off the tip.
Nyolcas vezetésben állunk. Ha itt állok, már üresen nem tudom adni.
And here's George. He feeds it to Rush. The shot. A nice shot by George. George has got his first bucket of the night. And Steve, you're talking about the Celtics and their slower pace, bottom 10 in fast break points. Clark, I guess that's often the case for more veteran teams. They don't want to get into a track meet.
Yeah, I think they've got to be more efficient in terms of how they massage offensive possessions. I mean, you look at Rondo, who is an absolute burner, but the rest of the starting unit probably better suited to a half-court game. And it'll be interesting seeing how the Celtics go forward because Rondo moving into his prime and obviously more effective in an up-and-down game where the Celtics acquiesce to who he is and what his best type of game is as they go forward.
Doris Burke has some information for us. Doris?
Well, I had a chance to talk with head coach Frank Vogel. When we talked about this game, he said his concern was how to handle Rajon Rondo. He said, listen, Rondo has no problem getting into the teeth of the defense and finding his open teammates. We need to make him a jump shooter. Let's see if they can do that, guys.
Thanks, Doris.
Similarities between Rivers the coach and Doc Rivers the player. I mean, he had the height to play shooting guard, but was the most valuable running the show as the point guard.
Boston again missing.
I'll tell you, the D was really lax there. I mean, they know he really struggles from that range.
And the basket by Hill. Great point, Clark, on Rivers. You know, the teams that he has coached, Orlando and Boston, really embody him. Steve, they all play smart, tough defensively, well coached up and down.
Yeah, it is interesting how teams kind of take on their coach's personality, and that's definitely been the case with Boston and Doc Rivers. As a player, he's tough, he's smart, he's competitive, and it sure shows in the way his Boston teams have played the last few years.
O'Neal passes to West. O'Neal with it. Can they get it? Takes it up. It's blocked. Pacers leading by 9. Ball's not loose. Here's Wafer. Now West. 11 points for him in that last game against the Hawks in Atlanta. The step back jumper is good. West has got his first bucket in this one. Feeds it to Rush. He kicks to Granger. He's covered by Rondo. And he'll pass him in. Passes it to George. Takes the three. Shot is off. Celtics trail by 7. Goes right up. Rondo, good. Dishes up to Granger. Straight up. And the layup's good off the glass. Granger's got his second basket of the night. Tries a three. Rondo's shot is good. The scoring fast and furious as we end the first quarter. Pacers lead by 4.
Yeah, they've done a nice job here offensively to step.
Vetelletek átugolni normálisan.
And now the second quarter just getting set to start. Back in a moment from Indianapolis.
Welcome to HB at the Happy. Out at Prudential Center, the Nets will be...
Well, both sides have assessed what they need to do over the break in halftime. We'll see now if one can pull out a way here in the third.
Megfontos hátránynál állunk. Várnák egy passzol.
Hey, look at this Pacers roster. A nice young blend of talent and size and versatility. They have the flexibility this summer to add some other nice players. So this team seems to be on the rise.
Claxton is in at the point. Paul George is out there with James Posey. That's George Hill, and it's Jones in at the 3 slot. That's the Pacers 5. Here's Arroyo. So he gets the whistle. Contact on the way up, and 2 shots coming up. And you know, as Steve was just saying about the youth and options for this Indiana team, we were already able to see some of that impact in last year's playoffs.
And that was so important, Kevin, for the team to get to the playoffs, to be able to show the fans that passion and hard work and competitive spirit and promise of the young players. And I think for the fans, it was a case of everybody starting to see that there's new hope in store for the Indiana Pacers going forward.
So after making the first, he goes 1 for 2.
You know, for the Pacers last season, it was encouraging for them to make the playoffs, but it can't obscure the hard work that's still left ahead. I mean, they only won 37 games in the regular season. They would have needed 9 or 10 more wins to make the playoffs in the West. So they've still got a ways to go.
And Pierce backs in. Hill is whistled for reaching in. That's his first foul.
Yeah.
Here's Pierce. 15 points in the game. Now here's West. Shot clock at 6. Back to Pierce. He's picked up by Hill. The shot by Pierce will not go.
He just couldn't shake loose. He had the defender draped all over.
And Hill backs him in. Knocks it loose. Here's George. Good, and it's Hill picking up the assist. Now it's a 5-point Pacer lead. Plus you mentioned 37 wins. That was 25 less than the Chicago Bulls team they faced in the first round.
There was, yeah.
Steve?
Well, even with that said, Kevin, it was a very competitive series. They won 5 games, but every single game went down the stretch.
Out of bounds. They'll keep possession. And a chance now to check out the schedule for Indiana. Following this one, they get to host the Rockets. And that game is the second of 2 straight at home. And some changes here for the Pacers. Roy Hibbert's checked in for Post. Ansbro comes in for George. And it's Granger in for George Hill. Then for the Celtics, Kevin Garnett, he's checked in for O'Neal. Green comes in for Troy Murphy. And it's Allen in for Carlos Arroyo. Here's Pierce. Out to West. Shot clock at 5. It gets rebounded by Indiana. Jones has got 3 rebounds now in this one.
I'll tell you what, after that great 2010 campaign for Dante Jones, everything seemed to go wrong last year. He really had to fight for his time on the floor and never really developed into that full-time rotational player for his club.
So the Celtics call timeout. They're first. You know, thinking about Dante Jones, Clark, a coaching change and some other upheaval really didn't help him either.
Well, it didn't, but you know what? Late in the season, he actually found his way back in the rotation. But it's always difficult when you're in transition as a team, particularly when you've got coaching changes and some personnel changes as well.
Here's Allen. He's got 11. West kicks to Allen. West down low. Here's Garnett. And that time, also a missed shot.
Now, they've been outstanding on the board. There's a big reason why they've got a lead. Doing the dirty work down low.
Yeah, and Clark, you know, rebounding's a team effort. Everybody's boxing out. Everyone is accountable. They're doing a nice job collectively.
And this is what the schedule looks like for the Boston Celtics. They'll be at home for the next game against the Bobcats. That game marks the first half of a quick 2-game homestand. Celtics trail by 8.
Well, you look at the Celtics a season ago, they went 23-18 on the road. And, well, that would be a good mark for most teams. That was Boston's worst road record in the last 4 years.
So the whistle blows on the shot and 2 free throws for the contact right there. Steve was talking about that Celtics road record. You think, Clark, that is something to be concerned about, 23-18 away?
Yeah, you know, probably not. I mean, on their overall record, they gained 6 wins from the previous season. If there's any concern for the Celtics, it's probably the question of age and how much do the big 3 have left in the tank. But it is interesting when you think about it. Last year, when they felt, the year before rather, when they got to the NBA Finals, they didn't feel concerned about not having home court advantage in the Eastern Conference because they had been so good on the road.
Sure.
So that could have maybe put a little chink in their armor in last season's playoff.
Celtics trail by 6. West outside. And Garnett gets it to go on the assist by West. 6 points for Garnett. 41 seconds left in the third. Kicks it to Jones. Inside to Hibbert. Working on Garnett. From about 16. And that one's good. Hansbrough's got 6 points. Celtics on offense. They'll be at home for the next game against the Bobcats. That'll be the first of 2 straight at home. Garnett backing down. Over Hibbert. And again, Kevin Garnett. Garnett's got 4 points this quarter.
Again, they attack the hoop from the lane, and it's been really good to them.
Yeah, they're getting whatever they want down there. That's 4 of their last 5 buckets coming in the paint area.
Here's Green. Granger with the defensive effort. The points coming in bunches as we wrap up the third quarter. It's been a good one. You have to like what we're seeing from Roy Hibbert.
Yeah, double-double.
Now as we get going here in the fourth, let's send it over to Doris Burke for our Sprite Spark.
And Kevin, for that great stretch the Pacers put together, they get the Sprite Spark Award. Things started opening up for them in the third quarter as they exerted their will onto this game, and they are in complete control as the game now heads into the fourth and final period, guys.
Thank you, Doris. Everything really clicked for them, Clark, during that run.
Yeah, it sure did. I mean, it ignited them offensively. To the point, Clark, where they were really in complete control at that end of the floor.
And so it's the Boston Celtics with the W. It was a solid win, Clark.
Yeah, it was, and I think it came down to will more than skill. They went out and got this one.
That'll do it for now. For Doris Burke, Steve Kerr, and Clark Kellogg, and the rest of the 2K Sports crew, this is Kevin Harlan saying thanks for joining us.
Két feladat teljesítve. Még a harmadik negyed előtt még jó lehet. Még a sajtókonferencia.
You guys had a chance all the way up until the end, but it seemed like tonight just wasn't your night. Does this loss sting any more than normal, knowing that you guys were right there?
A fiúk most minden úton véget. Mindenki különbözött, minden normál benne. Visszakérdezném benne, White ever este, ma este. Mennyi zsákba macska. Az egyest választom.
It don't make a difference. We lost the game and I ain't happy about it. Yeah, we could have won this one, but you can say that about any game. You just got to go out and do it. And that means everyone on this team, myself included, we all need to do a better job of executing and making plays in crunch time. A much better job. Or this won't be the last time I'm up here talking about this kind of thing.
Zsákba macskát játszunk. És leírt, amit az imént elmondja, mindenki egy az értékelést egy 3 faktor kezdi ki, hogy ja, ha most nem érdekel, hogy a liga, meg ez meg az Houston következik, vagy mi? Azt mondja, kéne egy labdalopás, azt hiszem a steal az. A meccsen 37%. Kéne dobni legalább a 3 pontos vonalon. Nem tudom, én szerint pont tetezni fogok. És fejezd be a játékot, megint a szokásos C+-os minősítés.
Welcome, fans, to the NBA on 2K Sports. Kevin Harlan here with our analysts Steve Kerr and Clark Kellogg. So happy you joined us. And with the road trip approaching, the Pacers will play the final game of their homestand. And this is the first season matchup for them against this Rockets team. They took the loss in this East versus West matchup during the regular season last year, dropping both games.
And the season series between these two teams went exactly the opposite of what you would have expected. I mean, the weaker team won both games.
And courtesy of State Farm, the starting group for the Rockets. Lowry and Martin manning the backcourt. Terrence Williams is out there with Patrick Patterson. And it's Scola in at the pivot spot, manning the middle. And for Indiana, Granger, Hansbrough, and Hibbert are the front court. Jones is out there with Collison. At that point, you wonder if it was a fluke or if these guys, have really figured it out.
I'd be surprised to see a repeat of that outcome this time, but I've been surprised before.
passzolnál, diktálok üres.
Well, Doris, an interesting game. Moments ago, you had a chance to talk with head coach Frank Vogel. What do you have to say?
Kevin, he said that no matter how things pan out offensively for them, they're a smart enough team defensively to stay in it. He said, quote, my guys know how to force their shooters into bad shots and turn defense into offense for us. We'll see how that goes, guys.
Terrific, Doris. Thanks. Clark, what's your take on that?
I like the mindset they're coming in right now. I think it's the right mindset. A strong defensive effort from them today. I mean, I think it's essential.
Steve?
Well, no question. If they can have success defensively, they're going to create some offensive opportunities for themselves in transition.
Lee.
Ez mindjárt büntetett kap, pedig egy rage volt.
You know, for the Pacers last season, they really had a difficult time against Western Conference teams. I mean, only going 9-21 in those matchups.
The first free throw is good.
Ritkán van az, hogy most egy támadó, neki mész akkor a védekező játékos volt szabály, még catch.
Good on both. Here's Collison. Pass to Granger. Budinger defender. Knocked loose. Lee with the steal.
Great hands down low. Gets the takeaway.
And Williams slams it in. Now let's take a look at it once again with our Spike Slam Cam.
How's that for finishing with flavor?
Absolutely fantastic.
I think he was saving that one for a special occasion.
Lowry against Collison. Williams pulls it in. Williams has got 3 rebounds so far in the game.
It's clear they had one thing on their mind when they came out of the gate today. Rebound.
Yeah, they've opened up the game with a pretty good margin in that area. Great sign for this club. Lowry, the Villanova product, a lot of people didn't think he could be a starting point guard in the NBA because he's not the most efficient shooter, but he's very careful with the basketball. Very efficient, takes care of it, and makes sure his teammates get good looks out there.
Now Williams. He had 19 points in the win against Utah. Here's Budinger, and he can't extend the lead to double digits. And what Steve was said about Lowry, that's very important to a coach. Clark, that efficiency that you brought up. Nice to have a point guard that will not turn the ball over.
Yeah, you need a guy that'll squeeze that orange, because if you want orange juice, you got to squeeze it. In 35 minutes a game, just about 2 turnovers with 8 assists. That's a good number.
Huge numbers, you're right. And Granger picks him up defensively. Lowry gets the lead. Granger against Budinger. Lets it go with a 3. No luck. And Indiana will go the other way with it. They couldn't put the pieces together, losing that last matchup with Boston.
Right towards the end, I was thinking maybe a last couple of minutes surge would make it happen. But in the end, the inability to come up with stops and make any real progress became the issue. And they just gave away a lot of ground before the final buzzer.
Now, all the momentum swings in that game have them a little tired by the end. I think they just, as you said, Clark, kind of ran out of gas.
Launches a 3. He trained the shot right at the buzzer.
Cold-blooded. I mean, that's a big-time clutch bucket.
That is a prime-time play.
So as...
Miért kezdte hülyeséget bele?
Welcome back, everyone, to lopsided first quarter in the books already as we start the second quarter. And so that's the end of the first half. Back in a moment from Indianapolis.
Glad to have you with us this Tuesday night for the HB halftime report.
Miért nem lett ez kibaszott escape-vel, ez tovább ugrott.
Out at the United Center, the Bulls with a win over the Clippers.
Well, it's been a one-sided affair so far through the first 2 quarters, but there's plenty of time to mount a comeback.
Ja, oda nem mentünk, mert visszajátszás. Na.
And here's Hill for three. The shot misses.
Boy, from my angle, it looked like it was in the bottom of the net. Looked good from here.
Yeah, I thought so too, Clark. And the Rockets last season, 9th in the West, just barely missing the playoffs. And, you know, it's tough in the Western Conference, guys. That's the fourth time in 11 years that Houston has won 42 games or more and missed the playoffs.
Taking a look at the Rockets, they've got Budinger way out there at one. Then there's Patrick Patterson, and it's Hayes in at the 5. Rockets leading by 15. Yeah, respectable, Steve, for the Rockets to win the 43 and still miss the playoffs. I mean, Clark, if they were in the game, of course it's easy to say, but if they would have been the 5th seed in the Eastern Conference playoff rotation.
Yeah, they would have bumped the Pacers out of the playoffs, and I wouldn't have been too happy about that. So I'm glad it worked out just the way that it did. And that's not even taking into account the strength of the Rockets' schedule. I mean, really the resiliency of this team to still be so tough with the injury issues they dealt with. Very, very impressive. I thought Rick Adelman and that staff and those players, you know, really did a solid job staying together and playing really well late in the season, I thought.
Good. 6 points for Danny Granger.
3 straight hoops in transition now. They'll want to end that trend in a hurry.
Now, there's really no excuse for giving up easy baskets in transition. You got to get back and hustle.
Here's Budinger trying to answer back, but that 3 is off the mark. Here's the break. George, covered by Mark, takes it right up. The shot by George, no good.
All the defender had to do there was just stay close to him, and he did. Well, I love Paul George's game. From Palmdale, California, north of LA, 6'8", athletic wingman. I think he's got a chance to be a two-way star in the NBA.
Clark, going back to Paul George, drafted 10th by the Pacers back in 2010, they really needed another elite scorer to pair with Danny Granger. And so, Steve, they took a flyer on George.
Well, and I think what's interesting, Kevin, is that they didn't really get the scoring from him, but what they got was an excellent defender. And during that Chicago series in the first round of the playoffs, they relied on Paul George to cover Derrick Rose at times during that series, really utilizing his great length and athleticism on the defensive end.
That one misses.
When you look at the Houston Rockets, always the Rockets have been a tough team on the road. I mean, last season, even though they missed the playoffs, you know, they had the 11th best road record in the league at 18-23.
Williams with the ball. He's got it. Lowry dishes to Hill. Picked up by Hibbert. And the basket by Hill. Hill's got 4 points this quarter. Well, we think about the Rockets as such a scrappy team. Steve, are you surprised that they've been successful on the road?
Well, they're a tough team. They're smart veterans. They play hard every single night. So it doesn't surprise me. I mean, this is a club that's very capable. And I thought Rick Adelman did a nice job with that team, having them prepared and ready every night.
Williams passes to Lowry. The Pacers pull it in.
That's not his shot there, guys. And whether you play B on him or not, he's usually going to miss that one.
And Granger with the basket on the assist by McRoberts. 8 points for Danny Granger. Rockets leading by 14. Here's Lowry. Lays it up and banks it in.
That's like you draw it up right there. That was beautiful.
No doubt about it, Steve. I mean, always love to finish at the rack.
And Indiana has possession. They trail by 16. Hibbert gets to McRoberts. Now the feed to Granger. Feeds it to McRoberts. 6 to shoot. Here's Claxton. And it's Lowry with the rebound. Guys, we have seen them with a lot of good ball movement.
Well, you like the smooth operating they're showing you here. I mean, things are clicking, and more importantly, it makes them tough to defend.
There's no agenda. The ball's just moving to whoever is open. And as a result, they've kind of developed a clicking kind of pace to their game. It's been fun to watch.
From the arc, and Williams gets it to go on the assist from Chuck Hayes. Williams has got 11 points.
Fellas, they are heating up from outside now.
Yep, of their last 5 hoops, 3 of them have come from long range.
Now the pass to McRoberts. Moving the ball well. Here's Claxton. Gets to the rim for 2 with the D all over him.
You know, nice work getting inside that time. I mean, that's the spot where his height advantage is really going to pay off for him, and he used it.
And here at the end of the third quarter, it's a double-digit ball game. Really an incredible game from Kevin Martin.
But we know he can score, so it's not really a huge shock to see him put up these kind of big.
Mike Billings.
Now let's check in with Doris Burke for our Sprite Spark of the game. Doris?
Kevin, the Rockets get the Spark Award this time. They're firing on all cylinders and are exactly where they want to be as they look to finish things out here in the final quarter of play.
All right, Doris. Here's Collison. Claxton in a shooting guard. Tyler Hansbrough and Big Roy Hibbert down low. James Posey out there with Collison. That's the Pacers 5. Even numbers. Here's Flynn. It's rebounded by Indiana. Posey's got 3 rebounds so far in the game. And following this game, they hit the road to challenge the Bucks at the Bradley Center in Milwaukee. That'll be just 1 game played away from home for them.
And I really like the set they ran there.
Rockets leading by 15. Now here's Flynn. Patterson, the screen. Back to Flynn. Tries it from the top of the key. That's good. And the Rockets lead by 17.
He's had an off game thus far, but his team has been able to pick up the slack and find a way to get it done here.
Here's Claxton. Shot is blocked.
But McMillan
On offense, here are the Rockets. They put up a nice win against Utah last time out.
And they really shared the wealth in that game. They got some points from surprising sources. Did not miss a beat when they had to go to the bench.
You're exactly right. I mean, they really got some fantastic minutes out of those guys. He is not the guy you want to leave open behind the arc, guys. I mean, come on, you got to understand who you're defending.
Here's Posey. Off the mark there with the three-point shot. They're making this a runaway.
Now, the only question now is how big will this lead eventually become? I mean, this is a blowout. So nice to have a guy like that who can take charge at any time.
Yeah, so many of his passes, Steve, have led directly to baskets.
Here's Hansbrough. And the rebound goes to the Rockets. Skola's got 3 rebounds so far in the game. The shot by Williams, no good.
He came away empty there, and that's a shot that should probably go down.
Guys, we've seen some excellent offensive output.
Yes, sir, fellas. They've had it going on. Big time.
Big time is right, Clark. A lot of momentum here offensively.
Collison kicks to Hansbrough. And he can't stop the run as he misses.
I tell you what, despite the miss, he shouldn't hesitate to take those kinds of looks when he gets them. That's a good shot.
Outside Flynn. Picked up by Collison. Terrence Williams on the wing. Posey covering. Shoots from 12. The rebound by Hansbrough. For 3. Luis Scola with the rebound. Scola's got his 4th rebound in this one. From 11 feet away. The shot's good on the assist by Flynn. Flynn's got 5 assists tonight. They're not having much success at all right now.
Yeah, they need to shuffle their lineup a little bit. Try to find a combination that works.
Here's Posey, and the Pacers can't get it to go.
Just cannot find the rhythm. Still yet to hit a shot this quarter.
Here's Flynn. Goes up and lays it nice and easy. Flynn's got 7 now in this quarter.
And this one's pretty much wrapped up.
And they know it. I mean, took care of business. Chalk it up as a W, Steve.
The Pacers making a switch here. Rangers checked in. The Rockets also changing it up. Hashim Thabit, he's checked in for Stoll. Budinger checks in for Patrick Patterson. And it's Lee in for Terrence Williams.
Itt vagyok üresen, de nem passzol. Hát jó.
1:41 left to play in the final quarter. Backing down is Hibbert. Releases. Pulled the shot a little left, but the bounce goes his way. Hibbert's got 19 points. Here's Dragic. Now the Rockets with it. Big run right now going for him, 11-2. It's taken away by Collison. And Indiana has possession. Lifts up. And Granger with the basket on the assist by Collison. Collison's got 5 assists tonight. Rockets leading by 22. And here is Flynn. There's Dragic with the 3.
How about that, fellas? That was a small on big battle on the board, and the little fella came out with it.
Here's Hibbert. He feeds it to Hansbrough. Easy shot. It's rebounded by Houston.
I'm sure he'd like to have a do-over here. He just hasn't been able to make a significant contribution in this one.
Budinger, no good. And it's Indiana. His ball. Fires from 14. A nice shot by Granger.
It's a good thing he showed up today because without him, this team would be in big trouble.
Jó, visszaállítjuk meg a volt. Hát ezt szeretem, amikor sokat ugrasz, hogy
Outside Flynn. The 3. And Dragic with the basket on the assist by Flynn.
Looks like it's over. Double-digit margin, clock running down. Just take care of the ball now.
Yep, it's a simple equation. This one's over. Use the clock and take care of the arm.
The Rockets making a switch here. Stoll is checked in. Here's Collison. The dish now to Granger. He kicks it to Hibbert. And there's the 3-second violation.
You know, they're really starting to lose their way out there, guys.
Yeah, they are. I think they look a little demoralized to me, Steve. I mean, that's just a silly, unnecessary error right there.
Here's Dragic. So we see the Rockets taking the win here. They put on a show tonight, thoroughly controlling each end of the floor.
Hey, what more can you ask?
So that'll do it for now. For Clark Kellogg, Steve Kerr, and Doris Burke, this is Kevin Harlan. Thanks for joining us for this presentation of the NBA on 2K Sports. We'll see you next time.
miért nekik melegen akarod a versenyt, hogy pluszban ne érnek a dinamikus gól? Feleség gondolt, hogy még feladatnak az is betesznek. Megint sajtó.
The team struggled to stay in the game tonight, and the final score ended up not being even close. Do you think there was anything you or the team could have done differently to change the outcome?
A csapatjátéka ma este a végső pontszámnak végén. Különbözött. Vagy faszom értünk, melyik szöveg mit, I don't think about the way. Kemény a játékos. Az a zsákba macskadja, hát így válasz közé melyiket választom.
I could have played harder, I guess. I don't know, it's hard to think about that kind of thing right after a loss. For me, it usually takes a while for everything to sink in so I can process it. All I know is that I let my teammates and the coaching staff down tonight, and these guys deserve better. I'm going to have to do a better job of playing my game and staying within my role next time.
Csak a csapat micsoda elverek, jó, a többi még mit tudom. Hát, kezdetben minden felmutatott utána. Csak a fanoknak nem tetszett a dolog. A 12 percet játszottunk, eddig is van. Be ez a sajtokba 48% mezőnygólból, 2 asszisztot, vagyis 2 passz kéne adni, megint C pluszos minősítés.
It's time for some hoops at the Bradley Center, home of the Bucks, and we're going to bring it to you live on 2K Sports. And for the Milwaukee Bucks, they come into tonight's game after the loss to the Nets in New Jersey. And that does your confidence, guys, no favor. They got manhandled in that one. It wasn't pretty.
Had foul trouble in that game, a huge issue. This is a team that can be a little too aggressive at times.
Yeah, I'm all for physical basketball, guys. I mean, I enjoy that, but they went over the line. I mean, it ended up being their downfall, the physicality, because it produced fouls that led to free throws.
Here's the starting group for the Indiana Pacers. Granger, Hansbrough, and Hibbert are the front court. Jones is out there with Collison. And for Milwaukee, Luke Richard and Baamute out there with Gooden. Then it's Steven Jackson. Then it's Sanders. And it's Jennings in at the 1 spot.
Guys, I thought...
Moments ago, our Doris Burke had a chance to catch up with the coach, Frank Vogel, Doris.
Yes, Kevin, making good decisions and being smart with their offensive chances is what Coach said is going to be a key to their success in this one. As he noted, they're up against a team that works very well together as a defensive unit, and forcing shots and rushing plays right into their hands. Can they avoid it, Kevin? We'll see.
Thanks for getting back to us on that report, Doris. Guys?
You know, it's really important not to be afraid of the defense over there. I mean, you can't be playing in a fearful fashion. You just got to pick your spots and execute.
Yeah, and be aggressive. You know, you're right, Clark. You can't be intimidated by the speed and strength of this defense. You got to have confidence and take your shots when they're there and attack the lanes when you've got an opportunity.
Well, back to the Bucks at home. They won games here, but just didn't score a whole lot in the process.
Yeah, they were last in home scoring in the NBA as well as field goal percentage. But this is a team that really has a defensive identity, and they were able to scrap and claw and just kind of figure out a way to win games at home.
It's a bit of a slow start so far, just 1 make and 5 to begin the game.
Jackson misses. Releases from 15. Jones, no luck.
with very little defense there, that's a shot he should be taking and making.
Shoots from the elbow. Jackson can't get that one to fall.
And as usual, Steven Jackson last season, among the league leaders in technical fouls. He's always been a very volatile player. He ended up tied for second most in the league with 15.
And good on the basket. Book it.
I like the way they got the ball inside there.
Bucks trail by 9. Now Boykins. Now here's Jackson. He's guarded by Hill. 6 to shoot. It's right outside. And again, the Bucks miss. You know, speaking of Steven Jackson, Steve, he's one of those mile-a-minute guys, called the gregarious guy in the locker room, but the more you talk with the refs, just naturally, the more technical you're likely to get.
Well, it's a challenge to rein him in. He's so emotional. You don't want him to feel you're taking the other side. You also want to make sure he's not getting distracted. So you got to pick your spot.
The first one falls.
You know, Kevin, I thought the Pacers really showed well for themselves in that series against the Bulls in the playoffs last year, and Danny Granger was fantastic. His game was really on point.
Looking at who's out there now for the Bucks. Larry Sanders is checked in for Ilyasova. Gooden comes in for Chris Douglas-Roberts. And it's Jennings in for Earl Boykins. And good on the second, so he makes them both. And Steve, for the Pacers, it had to be encouraging to see Danny Granger at his best when it mattered the most.
Yeah, he played extremely well in the playoffs, as Clark mentioned. And he's one of those guys, I think, who's so versatile. He can do so many things on the floor that he's got the ability to hurt you in a lot of different ways.
Here's Jones, and that's good. He passed to get it done. Jones has got 5 points so far. Some firepower, Clark and Steve, from this offense.
Yeah, Kevin, how about the air of confidence? I mean, they really look like they believe in what they're doing.
Yeah, a little swagger here from this team. They're in a nice groove.
You know, he's not somebody they lean on for points, but when he does score, that's a bonus.
59 seconds left in the first quarter of the game. Granger outside. There's the dish to Hayward, and he bangs it home with one hand.
Well, thanks to some good shooting, they're off to a nice lead here.
Well, they hit the ground running, Steve, from the tip-off. I mean, they've yet to slow down.
Outside Jackson. There's the pass to Gooden. Over George. And that one's good by Gooden.
Not much resistance for him after that pick, Kevin. I mean, he had all sorts of space to hit the shot.
Dishes to Hayward.
De én a második adat, amit most a labban, azt akartam először.
Here's the three. Jones, no luck.
They are setting the tone here early with their work on the boards.
Yeah, only a moderate advantage here, slight one, but as the game wears on, it's one they'll definitely look to build on.
Now here's Jackson. He's coming off a 13-point game against the Nets in New Jersey. Here's Jennings. And there's the whistle, foul hard, and the shot. He'll go to the line.
Very easy call to make. There was no question contact on that shot.
Yeah, you know, you can allow a little contact, but not quite that.
That free throw good from Jennings. And the first half is now in the books. And we'll get going again here from Milwaukee shortly.
And welcome. The NBA season is in its early stages, which Utah with a win against the Magic.
Well, we'll get back to the action now. It's been a one-team show so far. We'll see if that changes here in the third. Here's Red. Stole it.
You know, his head was on the swivel that time, and he was able to anticipate that pass.
On the court for Indiana. Claxton in its shooting guard. Paul George is out there with James Posey. There's Collison, and it's Rush in at the small forward. Here's Douglas Roberts. Loses his man off the screen and lays it up and in.
3 for 3. Gotta like this hot start in the third quarter. Well, the Pacers have a reputation of being an up-tempo, run-and-gun team. Last season, they were just in the middle of the pack in fast break points. They were really more of a defensive club than anything.
Rush hits the bucket.
A little slow on the defensive rotation there.
Bucks trail by 7. Douglas Roberts with the ball. Here's Ilyasova. It's holding by Collison. Steve, let me go back to the Pacers and give you a number. You touched on their defense. You did. It ranked 12th best in the league last season. That's a good place to build.
That's a nice place to build and a really nice improvement from the prior year. I like Granger as a two-way player. He's pretty good defensively when he's locked in. Collison is quick and can be a factor pressuring the ball. And the big guy, Roy Hibbert, made the greatest strides, being able to defend the paint without foul.
Claxton gets called for the reach. That's his first foul of the game, and the bonus will go to the free throw line.
Yeah, that got them over the limit, and it's still early. They have to play smart, or they could give up a lot of free throws.
The first free throw is good.
Well, Milwaukee, going into last season, guys, really looked to be on the upswing. They had made the playoffs the previous year. They had a nice group of young players, but the free agent acquisitions that they made really didn't pan out.
Looking at who's out there now for the Bucks. Larry Sanders is checked in for Ilyasova. Gooden comes in for Chris Douglas Roberts. And Steven Jackson subbed in for Michael Redd. Back to what Steve was saying about the Bucks. They did make some moves. They just didn't pan out.
No, they did not. And you never know. I mean, I thought they were well-intentioned in the moves they made, but when you get between those lines, sometimes it just doesn't come together as you had hoped. And that clearly was the case for Milwaukee.
Clock at 6. And there's the 3-second violation. Chance now to check out the schedule for Milwaukee. After this one, they're off to Philadelphia to take on the 76ers. That'll be just one game played away from home for them. Here is Boykins. He's got 10. Picked up by Collison. Boykins kicks to Jackson. Fires for 3. Gets it to go. Jackson's got 12.
Well, after a horrible half of shooting, they bounced back here in the second half and picked up their shooting percentage quite nicely.
Granger outside. Back to Collison. Left side Collison. Just 5 on the clock. A 10-footer, and it's rejected. The Bucks trade. This is their first chance this season playing the Pacers.
And last year, boy, it was fun watching these two teams get together. They split the season series. Very even matchup.
Boykins kicks to Mbamute. Over Granger. Shots good from Mbamute. It's all knotted up.
Well, it's been a long battle, but they have finally gotten the game even again.
Yeah, you wonder though, I mean, battling back like that sometimes can give you a mental edge, but other times maybe you use too much energy to get all the way back, so we'll see.
Hansbrough. The pump fake kept the D off balance and gave him room. Steve, as you said, these were maybe the two most evenly matched teams in the country.
It was such a hard-fought series. I mean, it would be great to see a similar series this season.
And Milwaukee calls their first time out of the game.
Well, the Pacers handled themselves pretty well against the Eastern Conference last year.
Here's Dooley. He kicks to Gooden. And here's Dooley. Here's Jackson. Shot clock at 6. Launches a 3. Can't get it to go. And it's the Pacers taking it the other way. And for the Pacers last season, finishing 4 games under 500, but they are an ascending ball club as they made the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I mean, they're building it the right way, too. Larry Bird and David Morway putting some pieces together. A nice core group of young, hard-working, talented players. Now you just, with some salary cap room there, perhaps you can add a piece or two to elevate your talent base and your experience level. Being patient, not taking shortcuts, they're heading in the right direction.
Good place to play.
Yeah.
Steven Jackson is out there with Dooley. Then it's Sanders. Then it's CDR. And it's Gooden in at the 4. That's the group for Milwaukee right now. Outside Collison. The feed to Hibbert. Over Sanders. Hibbert gets the bucket. Now a timeout called by Milwaukee. They lead by 6. There's 47 seconds left to play in the final quarter. A moment to check in with Doris.
I was able to listen in on what Scott Skiles was going over with his team. He told them, if we can get a few big stops here, we can pull this thing out. It comes down to who wants it more. Let's watch it play out, Kevin.
Thanks a lot, Doris. Here's what Milwaukee's going with right now. Mbalamute's checked in for Douglas Roberts. And it's Jennings in for Keon Dooley. Claxton is whistled for reaching in. So that will be his second foul of the game. We're in the bonus, and we'll go to the line to shoot 2.
Shooting for Milwaukee. Brandon Jennings taking 2 shots.
Sinks the first one, and that makes it a 7-point lead. Two for 2, and it's an 8-point ballgame. And the Pacers call time here. They're losing by 8. There's 37 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Guys, your thoughts?
Now, I'm not sure there's enough time here, Clark. What do you think?
I doubt it, but I'm sure they'll go for the quick shot and intentional foul.
There's 37 seconds left in the game. Here's the floater. Took him no time at all on that one. Here's Jackson. Basket here, and this game may be all over.
Yeah, the main priority now has to be take care of the ball and use up some clock.
Shooting for Milwaukee. Steven Jackson. 2 shots.
It's the first that makes it a 7-point lead. Perfect from the line, and it's an 8-point ballgame. And the Pacers call time here. They're trailing by 8. We've got 28 seconds left in the fourth quarter of this one. We've got 28 seconds left here in the fourth quarter. Here's Granger, and there are the Pacers with another bucket.
He has so much offensive imagination. Always seems like he's ready to try something new.
Here's Jackson. Well, this one is winding down now. Milwaukee can watch the clock run out, and so they choose to intentionally foul. Good on the first, and that makes it a 7-point lead. Gets them both, and it's an 8-point ballgame. There's 18 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Here's Collison, and there are the Pacers with another bucket.
You know, that's a solid shot right there, Kevin. I mean, he's one of the better low-post finishers we'll see.
Here's Jackson. Outside Jennings, and now we've got an intentional foul.
Nem, nincs sok értelme, hogy faltojátból bedugóba dolgozik.
Out of the line for us, Brandon Jennings.
Here's the first that makes it a 7-point lead. Perfect from the line, and it's an 8-point ballgame. Here's Collison. It'll count. Can't connect, and so the Bucks take the win. They pulled off this win, Clark, with respectable performances on both ends of the floor.
Yeah, I think it was just really a nice overall effort, Kevin.
So that'll do it for now. For Clark Kellogg, Steve Kerr, and Doris Burke, this is Kevin Harlan. Thanks for joining us for this presentation of the NBA on 2K Sports. We'll see you next time.
A harmadik feladat nem sikerült, C-s minősítés volt. Nem lehet kihagyni ezt a
As I'm
sort.
sure you've already noticed, Coach isn't sitting next to you here tonight. We just got word from Brass that he's been fired for the team's recent performance. Having just found this out, how do you react to something like that?
Az edző következő tonight. Justin Gordon, so how do you react? Something gonna happen. Szükség van egy kis felrázásra, az edző a legjobb. It is nothing. Nem tetszik a győzelem. Na jó legyen a something is gonna happen.
Obviously, we haven't been playing that well lately. The axe has to fall somewhere, and today it looks like it was on coach. The fault lies just as much with the players in this case.
Csapatnak nem tetszik. Ez a liga, az nem tudom, ez egy ilyen tartózkoda, vagy mi ez a jobbra-balra nyer. Fanoknak tetszett. Hát csapat összhangban nem vagyunk jók. Hát már volt minden. 9 perc játékidő, 2 pont, 6 assziszt. Ez se lesz könnyű meccs, azt mondja, jump shot a játékba, ugró lövést, hát ez azt mondja, hogy 3 pontos, hát ez nem igen, fejezd be a játékot C pluszon, hát kösz, jó pofa vagy.
Welcome everyone to this very special NBA presentation on Veterans Day, where we salute the men and women who protect our country. Kevin Harlan here alongside Steve Kerr and Clark Kellogg. So happy you joined us today. Pacers trying to take advantage of their home court in this one before leaving Indiana. Now the opening lineup for the Phoenix Suns, presented by State Farm. VC and Hill are the wings. Channing Frye out there with Bertot, and it's Nash in at the point guard. And for the Pacers, Granger, Hansbrough, and Hibbert are the front court. Jones is out there with Collison.
Well, the Pacers historically have always been tough on their home court, and last season was no different. 24-17 in Indianapolis. It's one of the reasons the Pacers made the playoffs.
So Phoenix will get...
Egyébként a vezetésben. Ja, az ellenfélem. Fogok, ugrok itt.
Let's go quickly over to Dorisburg for an update.
Guys, I spoke with the head coach of the Pacers. He said he knows he's facing an offense that can pick you apart if you sit back and let them do what they want. He told me, quote, on-the-ball pressure is key. If we can get up in their face after they cross the timeline, we'll be able to disrupt their rhythm. Let's see if they're successful, Kevin.
Very good, Doris. Thanks. Clark, you think they'll be able to make that strategy work for them?
Well, we'll see, Kevin. I mean, holding opponent's shooting percentage down comes down to trust in your defensive scheme, and then making the effort to challenge every shot.
So what do you think?
Well, yeah, trust is the key word that Clark just mentioned, and I think the aggressiveness, the ability to close out on shooters, make the rotations, but really challenge those shooters, that's going to be key.
Wow, that's great.
Take advantage of that turnover and convert at the other end.
Absolutely. I mean, points off turnovers this time generated off the steal.
Egyszer itt hozzám a labda, passzolok, és itt nem látom, nem csak el. Passzol.
Here is Collison. His last outing, he had 8 points.
You know, Jared Dudley's never been the most athletic player on the floor, but he's got a sense of humor about it. The 6'7" swingman made a pledge to get at least 10 dunks last season and finally reached his mark with 3 games left.
Clock at 6. Collison kicks to Jones. Lets it fly. That falls. Great assist by Darren Collison. Clark, you brought up Jared Dudley. He has become a fan favorite in Phoenix, not just for his sense of humor, but see also for his consistent work ethic.
Yeah, Suns gave him a 5-year extension last season. Part of that was his all-around play, a high-energy player, a good three-point shooter, and part of it was just what he means to the team, chemistry-wise. A great teammate.
Pacers leading by 4. Granger is screen on Brooks. Collison the pass to Granger, and he lays in the alley-oop. Granger's got 5.
Superb feed there, young fella.
It really was perfect setup for the lane.
Right, he just managed to float the ball up there.
.149 left in the first quarter. And here's Brooks. 17 points for him last game against Minnesota. Kicks to Petrus. Back to Brooks. All alone. And yes, sir, that one drops. Here's Collison. Back to Jones. He kicks it to George. Outside Collison. 6 on the shot clock. Now the pass to Jones. From outside the arc. It's tipped. Suns trail by 4. Carter dishes to Brooks. He dishes it to Doug. Takes the 3. The shot misses. And Indiana will go the other way. This game against Phoenix, here is the first look at the Suns.
And the season series between these two teams went exactly the opposite of what you would have expected. I mean, the weaker team won both games.
And the reception by Gortat. Out of bounds. And they'll keep possession. Here we are in November, and let's see how things are going out east in the early season. If you look at Boston, right now they're off to a fast start. First place in the conference. And that'll do it for the first half. Pacers lead by 6.
Hello and happy Veterans Day. An important day to reflect and remember, and also important. At Amway Center, the Magic with...
And it's been a back-and-forth game so far with no ground given through the first half. Third quarter starting here now.
Még van egy kis gól. Fasztok el, az melyik.
Claxton, he's in at point guard. Danny Granger out there with Paul George. Then it's George Hill, and it's Hibbert in at the 5. So that's the group out there for Indiana.
This just has not been his day so far.
You know, Roy Hibbert was taken 17th by the Pacers back in 2008. Granger was the 17th pick in 2005. Both have proven to be good acquisitions for Indiana.
All sorts of time, and that one's good by Lopez.
Now, he will eat you alive unless you play him tougher defensively.
Pacers leading by 3. Back to Hibbert Clark, a 7-2 pivot. He's got soft hands, rebounds, can score inside, and has a nice hook shot. And Steve, you even told me before the game he can even step back for a jumper that you would respect.
Yeah, he can knock it down from long range, Kevin. And he's an underrated passer, too. The Pacers really ran a lot of offense through him, so this is a young kid who's really developing into a solid center in this league. I'm just so impressed with the work Roy Hibbert has put in since his final year at Georgetown. He's lost a lot of weight. He's gotten himself in terrific condition, and he's a very skilled player down on the block.
He hits both from the stripe. And Steve, you're right about Roy Hibbert. Last season got off to a hot start. He had lost about 25 pounds doing martial arts. All those different workouts associated with that over the summer. He also addressed a undetected asthma problem, which Clark helped his endurance.
Yeah, it did help his endurance, but I think as the season went on, Roy thought maybe he had gotten too light by years in. Now he's gotten back up to around 260. And again, it's not just what you weigh, but it's what kind of strength you have and where is the weight. He needs a little more lower body strength to anchor, and the right kind of weight and muscle will continue to allow him to be a very effective center in the NBA.
Just 5 to shoot. Here's Dudley. And the shot clock expires. 24-second violation. And a chance now to check out the schedule for Indiana. Next up for them, the Knicks, a road game in New York. That'll be just one game played away from home for them. Some changes for Indiana. Hansbrough comes in for George. And it's Collison in for George Hill. Phoenix also making some changes. Gortat's checked in for Lopez. Fry comes in for Hakeem Ward. And it's Carter in for Jared Dudley.
Now, the Suns missed out on the playoffs for only the 4th time in the last 23 years last season. And with the team getting older and no outstanding young players, it may be a while before Phoenix returns to prominence.
From the baseline. Good on the jump shot. Hibbert's got 11. Suns trail by 7. Guys, we've seen some excellent offensive output.
Yes, sir, fellas. They've had it going on big time.
Big time is right, Clark. A lot of momentum here offensively.
Here's Hill. A three-pointer is right on target. Hill's got himself on the board with 3 there. And, you know, for the Suns, Clark, what do you think is their best path for them right now? Could they bounce back to where they were, you think?
In the short term, Kevin, I'd have to say no. I mean, this team a few years ago had a legitimate chance to win a title. I mean, now the talent level has dropped off, and we know you start right there. I mean, you got to have talent to think about a championship, and it's easy to see why the word rebuild kind of floats around. I think that takes time, and that's where the Suns are right now.
And for so long they were looking for a center. Now they got Lopez, they got Gortat, but they don't have anything around it, or at least things that they're really building toward.
It just reminds you of how hard it is to get the pieces together to play at a high level and to have a chance to compete for and pursue a championship.
Indiana leading. Following this game, they have to road. They'll take on the Knicks in New York. That will be a getaway game for them, a 1-game road trip. Rolls it up. And once again, off the mark by Indiana. Guys, we have seen them with a lot of good ball movement.
Well, you like the smooth operating they're showing you here. I mean, things are clicking, and more importantly, it makes them tough to defend.
There's no agenda, and the ball is just moving to whoever is open. And as a result, they've kind of developed a clicking pace to their game. It's been fun to watch.
This is to Hansbrough. Plenty of space. Indiana again missing.
Oh, that's a frustrating one there. Easy look at the hoop.
Carter for 3. And it's Carter again missing.
Well, he got 1 to go in the first, but he hasn't been able to connect from three-point land here in this half.
Brooks against Collison. Back to Granger. 5 to shoot. And it's going to be 2 free throws. Drew contact on the shot. Here we are in November. Let's see how things are shaking out in the West early in the season. You look at Portland. Long way to go still in the season, but even so, they've got the top spot. And, of course, the Suns, they're looking to turn it around down at the bottom of the conference.
Well, right now for the Suns, they've just got to learn a few lessons from what they're going through this year. I mean, to use that experience to make sure that they grow from it.
Well, you always want to be getting better, Clark. So I like what you're talking about.
So no problem for Indiana as they get the win. And this one was such a lopsided victory.
They never let up. They were full throttle from the start.
And that'll wrap it up for Clark Kellogg, Steve Kerr, and Doris Burke. This is Kevin Harlan, and thanks for tuning in.
Persze, amikor egy csomó 6 asszisztom volt, az nem sok mindent ér neked. Ó, egy kibaszott sajtó, az meg.
Your team breezed a victory this time around. It's got to be nice to get a little break tonight in the midst of a long season with more close games than you probably like. Your thoughts?
A csapat győzelm, igen. Kicsit eltűnő hosszú szezon van. Visszapedjen 4. Mi kell hozzá? 2-es, good mentor. Switch. Love me too. Szeretek játszani.
Man, we just out there doing work, punching the clock, paying the bills. I love it when the team's operating at peak efficiency like this. We like a well-oiled machine, and I'm right in the middle of it all, making it happen. It's games like this that make you realize the level of greatness we have right here. But we ain't even close to our ceiling, man. There's so much more we can do. So much better we can play. The rest of the league better watch out.
Még kezdő is az ember. Na, most kivételesen beletrafáltunk, hogy mindenkinek tetszik. Elvileg csak a fejmenübe kell neki. Ja.